bright morning, sir. We are the reporter number 3 and we are gonna report about the concept of trade and various trade theories. The first topic is all about the laissez-faire versus interventionist approaches to exports and imports.
So hi, let's talk about the laissez-faire versus the interventionist approaches to exports and imports. Ang laissez-faire and interventionist approaches to exports and imports represent contrasting economic strategies. The laissez-faire approach advocates minimal government involvement, allowing market forces to determine trade. So imagine nun ang situation nga kung sa diin ang government is nag-refuse sa pag-regulate sang presyo sang ginabaligya sa merkado sang mga any goods lang kag services. So sa sini nga scenario, ang mga businesses is free or malaya sila nga mag-set sang ilang prices based sa supply and demand sa mga tawo without sa ginasiling nga government regulations. So ang consumers and producers is free man nga mag-interact sa market. Then ang competition among the businesses amo ang ga-dictate sang prices and quality sang products. So sa piyak nga bahin, the interventionist approach involves government regulations such as tariffs, subsidies to influence international trade, often with specific economic or political goals in mind. For example, in a recession, an interventionist government might impose tariffs certain imported goods to protect domestic industries and save jobs. So the choice between these approaches depends on the country's objectives and circumstances, with some countries opting for a mix both to balance free market dynamics with protective measures when needed. So the choice between these approaches depends on a country's economic goals, political ideology, and the specific circumstances it faces.
For the second topic is all about theories of trade patterns. Theories of trade patterns provide an insights on favorable locals and products for exports, thereby helping companies to determine where to locate their production facilities when governments do or do not impose trade restrictions. So for this theory is mercantilism theory. Mercantilism theory was propounded between 17th and 8th century, and it focuses on the motto that a country must look after its own welfare and encourage exports and discourage imports. It ensures that the raw materials are needed just for imports and nothing else. This theory also propounded the view that a country or nation must focus on is the accumulation of wealth in the form of gold and silver, thus it's strengthening the treasure of the nation. So let's imagine this situation. This situation where government buying foreign currency assets and make the exchange rate undervalued and makes the exports more competitive. So in general, undervalued currency or weaker currency makes the imports more expensive and then exports more cheaper to overseas buyers. So that effect can lead to trade deficit and increase in inflation of a nation. For the next topic is the free trade theory. Under free trade theory or policy, goods and services can be bought and sold across international borders with little or no government tariffs, subsidies, quotas, or prohibition to inhibit their exchange. Under this policy is the absolute advantage theory. This theory was propounded by the economist Adam Smith, and this theory proposes that a government should not try to regulate the trade between countries, nor should restrict the global trade. And this theory also that a global trade should depend on the market factor of a country, not the government's will. So for example, when a country has a absolute advantage, when example the China produces quality computers and they are kulang sa mga cars pero ga-excel sila sa computers, and then there's sample lang Singapore, they are producing more quality cars and they can exchange both countries their products and can excel in their goods quality.
The assumptions and limitations of absolute advantage theory laid foundation for understanding international trade. Those assumptions and limitations make it less applicable to the complexities of a modern international trade. So, if the assumptions and limitations of an absolute advantage theory make less applicable to the complexities of a modern international trade, so the comparative advantage theory operates under a certain assumptions and has limitations that need to be considered when analyzing a real-world trade dynamics and policies.
So for the next topic is the trade pattern theories. It deals with patterns such as how much a country trades, what products it trades, or who will be its trading partners when engaging in free trade policy. And there are 4 theories within this pattern.
The theory of a country size holds that large countries are more self-sufficient than smaller ones because of the varied climatic conditions and the more natural resources. So I will read the situations and example in the impact of the theory of a country size to the countries. So, for example, China is a large country with a vast landmass and a sizable populations, has the resources and manpower to maintain a strong military presence, invest in infrastructures, and support diverse range of industries. This gives that China is a considerable political and economic clout on international stage. Belgium is a small nation with limited land and relatively small population. It may struggle to compete with China in terms of military power and economic capacity. As a result, Belgium may rely more on diplomacy, international alliances, and specializations in niche industries to maintain its influence and economic viability. These situations represent how the theory of a country size can impact the geopolitical and economic dynamics between two nations. Between two nations with a larger country having certain advantages and the smaller ones relying on different strategies to thrive in a global arena. So that is the situations and the effect of a country size to international,
The theory of economies of size, also known as economics of scale. As scale of output increases, factors such as operational efficiencies and increased production volume allow these businesses to reduce costs per unit. This is why larger companies often have competitive advantage over the smaller ones. So that's why the theory of economies, this is the main cost advantage that business obtains due to expansion. So for the situation, it typically refers to the external factors, environment in which a business operates. This could include market trends, competition, regulations, and customer behaviors. Now, that situation can significantly impact a business strategies and performance. So for example of that, a company operating in a highly competitive market might need to focus more on innovation or customer service. So the effect of the situation on the theory of economies of size can also be quite complex. For instance, in rapidly changing market, a large company might struggle to adapt quickly due to size, nullifying some of the advantages of economies of scale. On the other hand, in a stable market with a high entry barriers, the economics of scale could provide a significant advantage for large companies. So that's all.
Factor proportion theory is also known as the Heckscher-Ohlin theory. It states that the differences in a country's labor, land, and capital endowments determine its production cost and trade specialization. Developing nations focus on primary product productions due to natural advantages. Sa sining part, let's imagine two countries, the country A, the country B. So, si country A is abundant siya sang mga skilled workers like sa mga engineers and scientists, pero limited man ang iyang natural resources like sang land and minerals. So, ang country B naman is kabaliktaran. Mayaman siya sa mga fertile land nga natural resources, pero smaller lang ang iyang proportion sa mga highly skilled professionals. According sa Heckscher-Ohlin theory, ang country A is more likely to excel in industries nga require ang skilled labor, such as technology and pharmaceuticals. Makaproduce sila sing goods efficiently kay they have a comparative advantage in skilled labor. Meanwhile, ang country B naman is specialized siya sa industries like sa agriculture or sa mining. Kaya ang ilang natural resources is abundant. Kag may ara gid sila sing comparative advantage sa sining nga areas. So this specialization allows both countries to benefit from trade. Ang country A can trade sang ilang high-tech products with country B in exchange naman sang mga agricultural products and raw materials, leading sa ilang mutual economic growth. So sa sining example, ma-illustrates ta ang differences in resources nga maga-influence sa trade patterns as predicted nga sang Heckscher and Ohlin theory.
For the next theory is the country similarity theory, also known as country of origin effect. This theory suggests that consumers may make their perceptions about their product about the judgment of a country where it is produced. So for example, for this theory is there are two kinds of laptop where it was made in USA and made in China. So as a consumer, I can make judgment that made in USA laptop is more high quality than the made in China. So my perception about a country can influence my purchasing decision because of the origin of that product.